हेलो। एक्सक्यूज मी। क्या हाल चाल है दोस्तों? दिस इज देसिनियो। आम आम आदमी। यार आम आदमी। आप आम तो नहीं हो, स्पेशल हो, ये कहते हैं ना। हर एक ने स्पेशल क्रिएशन बनाई है गॉड ने। तो आई एम नाउ अडिक्टेड टू योर स्ट्रीम। ओह वाओ मैंने दैट्स गुड। यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम एनी टाइम। तो एक सेकेंड, क्या है यार, इसका लिंक का है। सॉरी गाइस, एक सेकेंड। मैं उसकी लिंक शिंक को शेयर कर दूं या जो भी है। टू 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 हमेशा पहले से ये करना चाहिए चीजें। इनवाइट, कॉपी क्लिपबोर्ड। ओके। सॉरी गाइस, मैं सेटअप कर रहा हूँ उसको कि भाई लिंक डाल दूं उसके ऊपर। जब लिंक आ जाएगा तो फिर आई थिंक इजी रहेगा अगर किसी ने ज्वाइन करना है या नहीं। वी ऑन ट्यूब पे जैसे शुरू होता है तो फिर मैं आपको डिटेल में बता देता हूँ कि क्या बात हो रही है क्या नहीं। स्किप। ये हो गया, चलो ठीक है। ये लिंक डाल दिया मैंने और इसको मैं पिन कर देता हूँ। पिन। ठीक है। ओके, ये काम हो गया। अब ऑडियो सही आ रही है, ठीक है। तो आज की स्ट्रीम क्या है? ओह वेट, आज की स्ट्रीम तो इंग्लिश में होनी थी। ओके। Yes guys, so today what I wanted to do was actually get together with some friends and maybe watch a video of Sheikh Uthman, which I saw yesterday, and I thought it was a very interesting video. So I was going to make a reaction video on that thing just by myself and make a clip, but I decided while I'm making the reaction, while I'm talking about it, maybe we can have some people in and maybe talk about that video also. Okay, just one second. Let me get a phone. Okay. Okay, so basically what was going on is I've been watching a bunch of different Islamic channel videos, and I'm trying to learn a little bit about the aspect of how they explain things and how they do their dawah. Because basically what it is in order for us to be able to counter dawa or answer the questions that people have about dawa, and you have to understand what perspective they are coming from. If you don't understand what perspective they are talking about, you will never be able to challenge their claims. For example, if you keep fighting somebody that, you know, God did this and God did that and God did, and that person doesn't even believe in that type of God, you're complaining, how can God be a human? How can God walk on the earth? He cannot be a human because God and humans are different and all that. And then you end up understanding that the guy's a Muslim. He doesn't even believe Jesus Christ was the Son of God. So it would be kind of stupid to argue with him about Jesus being human or not, or what type of things that Jesus did, because he doesn't believe in Jesus. So same way for Muslims, a lot of time what I notice is we we argue with the theist, we argue with the Momins or people, is Dawa people, and we talk about, we make claims like, oh, Islam this and Islam that, and we don't even find out that the other person doesn't even believe that Islam says this or Islam says that. So first you have to understand what the other person thinks about Islam, what his perspective is, and then you can go further, be like, oh, okay, this is what he thinks about Islam, this is what the things he believe. That's why sometimes when you're talking to these people, you're supposed to ask them, who are you, what do you believe in. The reason sometimes I ask the person, what do you believe in or what sect of Islam, so that if he says he's a Shia, I know, okay, he believes in certain things and that the Sunnis don't believe. Or if you say, no, I'm a Sunni but I'm a Barelvi, okay, oh, okay, so the Barelvi has a certain different understanding about Muhammad that the rest of the peoples don't. And then if says, no, 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 I'm a Wahhabi or I'm a Salafi, if he says that, then I know, oh, okay, he's taking the Quran literally. He thinks everything is literal in the Quran. He's not going to take the Quran in metaphor. Or if you talk to a Sufi, he's going to be like, oh, if he's a Sufi, then His religion is more closer to the Hindus, that everything is open and you can interpret it this way and it's all spiritual and rule and all that stuff. So I mean, even in Islam there are so many different groups that have total little bit different understandings of Islam. And certain, and of course you can talk to people who are Quranist, and that's a totally different ball game, because for those guys, they don't believe the hadith at all. So almost 80% of the religion just goes out of the window, because almost 80% of the religion is made up from the hadith and sirah and tafsir and all those things. So those guys don't even accept any other hadith. So when they don't accept the hadith, then it's kind of pointless to argue with them about Banu Qurayza, this happened and that happened, and they're like, no, we have no evidence for it. And if you say this hadith, like, no, we don't believe the hadith, so it's pointless. So that's why now, if anybody wants to join in, I'm going to play a video from what do you call, Sheikh Uthman. This video is very was interesting, that I saw yesterday, and let me share my screen. If I share screen, so the interesting thing about this stream was that here Sheikh Uthman is talking to a college campus, young college students, and he's explaining Islam's contribution to humanity. Very interesting topic. But what I found interesting is how he relates to the people who are sitting there. But then the things that he's saying, the people are not really understanding the hidden agenda behind it. He says certain things, but then if you really think about it, they don't make too much sense once he says it. But there's nobody objecting because he's making a lecture, so nobody says it. But then later on, I guess maybe in question and answer session he does. But I wanted to go over this a little bit uh, and see what we can think about this video. So let me change the thing to 1.1.5 maybe. Okay.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala khatamil anbiya ashrafil mursaleen. So, since I have 2 master's degrees, and I know you guys are all students and you love tests and quizzes, right? Everybody? You know? Come on, right? So we're going to start today with a test, all right? Just to make it fun. So the question is, I know, I'm not going to, this is not UCSD, so I'm not going to.
Now, what he's doing is very interesting. This is something that they use in psychology. Okay, the way this works is that you prime your audience into accepting what you're about to say. The way it works is that you ask them questions that answer is yes. The only answer they'll come up to is yes, and based on your questions you're going to lead them to a specific mindset. Okay, and that's the whole point. Like, if you want to convince somebody about something, the best way to do that is you ask them questions which they can only answer yes. Now, if you ask them that question 3 4 times, different question where the answer is yes, psychologically your mind is programmed to start saying, agreeing with the person. Let's say if I want to say, the weather is really good today, right? And if it is a good, you'll be like, yes. So and it didn't even rain today, right? And you say, yeah, it didn't rain. And if this, and the temperature is going to be very stable all day long, as you can see, right? You see, yes. So, and the sun is even out, right? Yeah. So the more yeses you say to the person, the more you agree with the person, the more mentally you are attached to that person philosophy. You'll agree with that person's philosophy as you go forward. Morani has added to the stream. Let me add him. Hello, Morani. How are you?
Good. How are you? What's going on?
Nothing much. We're doing a little reaction video on Sheikh Uthman's Islam's contribution to humanity.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm here to fuck somebody up, So go ahead.
Yeah. So no problem. So basically, this is how he's doing. He's basically priming his audience to agree with him by giving them like these open-ended questions, very so that once they agree with him, that is going to lead them down the road to agreeing with his bigger points too. So let's see what he says.
Going to make you write anything. It'll be true or false questions. Anybody got that? No. All right. So,
And
what is Islam? All right, but to make it easy, I'm going to give you options. All you have to say is true or false,
you
right?
see that now, and notice he's going to use humor, and that is the best way to get your message across, if you use humor. So he's one of those speakers, dawa people, who's very good at using humor in his conversation so that you can relate to that person. So he's
So if you guys want, whoever thinks the option that's on the board is true, raise your hands. All right? So, a religion named after the MMA fighter Islam Makhachev. Anybody? Do you think that? All right. That's what I thought. I'll talk to your professor later. A religion started by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, around 570 to 632.
now notice he gives this answer because this is the common answer that most people have, the Muhammad, because that is the generic way that any religion talks about it. Like, okay, Christianity started with Jesus and blah blah blah. Judaism started with Moses, and Abraham was before that, and all that. And same way people think of Islam as when Muhammad came, Islam started. But now what he's gonna do? Notice how he's gonna give that answer.
Ooh, you got a lot of them. Both of those are false. Good thing I'm not grading this, right? The religion God revealed to all his prophets throughout history.
See, by giving that third answer, what he's doing is basically setting up the stage to make the people understand that no, Islam is not a religion that Muhammad invented. All the religions are part of Islam. Islam is the first original religion, and it's just going on continuously from Adam till now. This is basically to prime the audience into basically taking Islam as the universal religion. So even though everybody knows that Muhammad is the one who started Islam, but since Islam claims that it is the only original religion and it started from Adam onwards, it's basically just enveloping all the other religions into it.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit.
Let's see.
That is correct. I'm going to do one more just for fun. A religion founded by Joseph Smith. Anybody? Anybody know who Joseph Smith is? No. All right. It is. Good job. Whoever, extra credit, whoever that was. All right. So, my neighbors are too. So, before we go on to what's a Muslim, what is Islam? Because we want to talk about the contribution of Muslims and Islam to humanity, but first you need to understand what is Islam. People have a misconception.
So I'm gonna keep interrupting in the middle because I just want to make a commentary, because sometimes you hear it, but you don't see the hidden message behind it. Now he's gonna talk about what is a Muslim, right? Now, why is he gonna first? He tried to set up the stage where everybody's agreeing with him that Islam is the original religion and it encompasses all religion. All the prophets are part of the Islam, and basically they all brought Islam, and Muhammad is there. Now he's gonna give meaning of Muslim also.
Yeah, right.
This is
Yeah,
what Islam
right.
was defined
Okay,
by Prophet
okay.
Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, but that is not correct. Islam, by definition, is that religion of submission that has been the same religion throughout time. People change their religion, people change their practices, but when you have revelation from that one creator, whether it's to Abraham or Moses or Jesus or Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them, that's only one message. It's only one religion. And that religion, you can call it different names in different languages, but that is the religion of Islam.
See that? You can call it whatever you want, but it's all Islam. You see, this is sneaky. He's sneaking in that part, and his audience is like, oh, okay. So basically, all the religions are basically Islam.
Now, you go to what's a Muslim. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. Option number A.
Now he's going to prime the audience. Look at that. He's going to give certain questions, which you know the answer to, and then he's going to change the whole definition what a Muslim is with the definition that he has.
Any Arab, please don't raise your hands because I'm trying to think good about you guys, right? Arabs are less than 20%, maybe around 15% of the Muslims. So the vast majority of Muslims are not Arabs, and many Arabs are not Muslim. Many Arabs are Christians or atheists or Jews or so on. So to tie Islam with any ethnicity would be a mistake. We don't have the concept of chosen people, any of that kind of thing. Anybody that submits their will then would be a Muslim, taking me to option number 2. Every member of the Wu-Tang clan. Anybody?
See,
All
he
right.
throws in a little joke because he's talking to the young folks, so he throws in a joke. That's a good way to connect with the people. If anybody wants to join in, the link is pinned on the StreamYard link. If anybody wants to join in right now, okay.
All right. Someone who speaks Islam. No, I've got that before. Like I was at high school and I asked them what's a Muslim. They said, "Who speaks Islam?" I don't even know what Islam sounds like, but okay. Someone who submits to the will of God or the will of the Creator, will of Allah. All right, there you.
You see, the last one is someone who submits to the will of God. He deliberately wrote God here instead of Allah because if he says Allah, everybody will like, no, we don't submit to Allah. But he says will of God because now God is very generic and each religion believes whoever believes in God. So basically, if you believe in God, which is you believe in Jesus, you believe in Moses, whatever, you believe in Krishna, doesn't matter. As long as it's a God, you're a Muslim. See how very easily he's changing the definition first for Islam, and then he changed the definition for Muslim to be all inclusive of everything.
Here you go. You guys are getting good at this, man. Muslim is not a term that was started by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It's not a term. If you look in the Quran, the Prophet Abraham mentions this. This is to do with Islam. What is Islam? To submit your will to your Creator. So when Moses or Abraham or Jesus or Noah or Ishmael or Isaac or any of those people that were the chosen people from the prophets that were sent to every different nation, and those people that followed them, those that were the followers of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, we would consider all of them Muslim because they submitted their will to their Creator. You don't have to be an Arab. You don't. I mean, the time now is the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because chronologically he's the last of the prophets. But if I was there in the time of Abraham or Jesus or Moses, peace and blessings be upon all of them, my job as a Muslim would be to follow them. So you believe in your Creator, you submit your will to your Creator, you follow the Prophet of your time. That's a Muslim. Let's go.
Now, this is the reason why when a lot of the people that convert to Islam over here, they don't call themselves converts. Instead, they call themselves, actually, they have been told to be called reverts. The reason is because according to this new understanding is that Islam is their original state, their generic state, their natural state is Islam, and they just went away from their natural state as being a Christian or a Jew or somebody, and now they are going back to their original state, which is Islam. So they don't call themselves converts; they call themselves reverts. See that? So how
But
how yeah, how it reaches back and tries to incorporate all the other religions into itself when it doesn't make sense, because basically whoever is the last person will just stand up and say, okay, everybody else in the back was all part of it. Go ahead, Muran.
no, I'm just saying that. So take off his clothes and butt naked, show it to him. Then what he's talking about because it's butt naked. I want to see him butt naked, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Murani, that the thing that mute kar lo ek second. Uh, You made a very good point, actually. Let me just say, look what the first one was. Any Arab, right? Think about that. He says, "What is a Muslim? Any Arab," and look what he's dressed as. A freaking typical Arab. So, I mean, he's saying no, it's not an Arab religion, but guess what? He's dressed up as a typical Arab. Why do I mean? You see, the people don't notice that. Like he's saying it. Oh, yeah, don't think of Muslims as Arab. Yes, Islam was a religion for the Arabs, and then later on it spread across the world. But look, if you want to be a good Muslim, how do you have to dress? Look at that.
That's
Look at it.
exactly why. That's exactly why I said that, man.
Yeah.
Make
No,
him a.
that's a good point. I didn't even notice that.
But if written by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave this away earlier, your Creator, you follow the Prophet of your time. That's a Muslim. Let's go. What is the Quran? All right, I know Hazim kind of gave this away earlier, but you guys got lucky. But let's go with that. A book written by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Anybody? No? Yeah, you guys are good. All right, man. I'm impressed. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, could not read or write, so it would be physically impossible for him to have written it.
No. He couldn't. First of all, he couldn't read or write based on your own theology, based on your own explanation. Okay. No. And second of all, you don't have to read and write to be intelligent. Like people in that time in Arabia most people, almost 80 to 90% people, didn't read or write. So he wasn't an extraordinary thing that, oh my God, he couldn't read or write. No, he was basically the most common person there. Yes, nobody read or write. Only very, very few. You want to say something, Murari?
True, 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 true.
Yeah, the thing is, if your mic is open, then there's feedback. Okay. Yeah. So basically, book written. Now he's priming the audience to understand that the book is not written by Muhammad, but it's the words of God. So first, he changed it. He set up in your mind what Islam is. Basically, all religions are Islam. Second step, he puts in your mind that a Muslim is not what you think. Is basically anybody who believes in God is a Muslim. And now he's gonna go to the next level. Like Quran is the direct word of God, based on who? Based on you. There's no independent correlation for that. There's no outside evidence for that. It's only your own book that just confirms itself. I'm the book, I'm the word from God. Other than your own book, nobody else says that your book is a word from God. So, I mean, you're making this statement as a factual statement, but these are basically just claims from your own religion.
A collection of the writings of Buddha. No, these are easy. I know. I don't want to make it too hard, right? A collection of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's writings. That was a trick, but none of you fell for it. Excellent. It is not. Once again, he could not read or write. The words of God revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. That is the Quran. Mashallah, anybody else? Anybody raise your hand? I forgot. All right, there you go, man. It's kind of the only option left. But I'm the easiest test giver ever, right? So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, could not read or write. He could not have read earlier books. So this was what was revealed through the angel Gabriel.
See how he repeats that over again? He could not have read the books from the past. Okay, is that the only way you can know about things from the past? I don't speak Chinese, but I know Chinese mythology. A good friend of mine from China explained to me. I never read his any of the Chinese books. I can't read the Chinese language or write it, but I know a lot of their mythology. Okay, same thing with Christianity. Okay, or some people have never read the Bible, but they know a lot of things about Adam and Eve and the story of Adam. There is no other way to know the knowledge except for reading something from the book. I mean, that's a ridiculous statement that if he couldn't read and write, he wouldn't know anything like that. No, he spent 40 years of his life before becoming a prophet, last 4 or 5 years or whatever, when he was with Khatija, traveling as a merchant to different cities and different countries with huge groups of people, where you would travel for days and days. Don't you think in those groups of people there would be Christians, there would be Jews that he could talk to? And what else would you do in the middle of the desert when you're camped over there overnight? You're sitting at the fire and you're talking stories. So I mean, this claim that, oh, he couldn't read or write so he didn't know. No, right at the time he did his prophethood, he didn't come up with all these stories. Later on, as you go, time goes by, all these other stories and all things comes into the Quran. And during that time, he had hundreds and thousands of people. I mean, not that much, but many, many people who were from different religions around him. And you're telling me there's no possibility he could have heard anything about any other religion from them? So this claim is kind of BS.
From the same creator, the same God who revealed to Prophet Jesus or Moses or Abraham. We love all of them, we respect all of them. So that is the Quran. The Quran is not the words of any man. The Quran addresses the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it's not his words or his writings. Rather, this is what God reveals to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I want to make this clear because before we talk about contributions and things, we need to understand what we're talking about. So moving forward, there's a professor in the US, and you can Google him, you can look him up. And he wrote an article, and he's a non Muslim professor, about what the world would be like without Muslims.
Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Most religious texts throughout history weren't physically written by their founders. Yes, that is true. That is true. Tell me, when in Christianity, when was Jesus sitting there in the Garden of Gethsemane writing the Bible? When was he sitting at his anywhere writing anything? No. Okay. So when was the Iliads written? No. All of these transmissions were oral at that time. So Islam also has oral transmission, nothing special about it. That's how people transmitted stories at that time. They were folklore, they were stories of that time. Unfortunately, some of the stories turn out bigger and bigger and become religions, but there were hundreds of stories going around, and that's how stories were transmitted from people to people. So you're Grimlock, you're absolutely right. And thanks for the $5. Appreciate it. Now, here's the interesting. He's gonna give a list of things. Now, imagine.
right? Because we have certain political candidates that have said, hey, we're going to ban Muslims or something. I don't know where he's at nowadays, but anyway. So Twitter still banned him? I think so, right? Right? So there's these ideas that we're going to get rid of Muslims, so we don't want Muslims, we don't need Muslims, right? But what would the world look like? What would your day look like? We're going to walk through this, right? And this is based on an article I did not write. This is not my research. This is a professor. I can get you the article if you want, but this is what he found. So it would be a world without coffee, and I don't know how you would start your day. Right? Think about this. When you wake up in the morning and you want to get your day going, when you grab that toothbrush is the Muslim
Now, the list will seem very impressive, but I'm gonna talk about the list once he goes.
invention. When you go and grab your first cup of Joe, that's a Muslim invention. When you go get your newspaper, mass printing, Muslim invention. Cameras, what you're recording on, what we're playing on, what you guys take selfies on all day long for no apparent reason. All of that, Muslim invention. Experimental physics, chess, soap. Yes, soap. Yeah, sure. Hope you're using that. Shampoo, perfume, irrigation, crankshafts, internal combustion, engines, valves, pistons, your cars, all of that. Combination locks, architectural innovation, surgical instruments, anesthesia. Good luck with the operations without it. Windmills, treatment for cowpox, not chickenpox, but cowpox. Fountain pen, yes, something I love. The numbering system that you use, algebra, trig.
Now, uh, all the things he's talking about, like the toothbrush and this and that, or whatever physical things that he talked about. Did a Muslim make that, or a person make that? Did him making a toothbrush have anything to do with the fact that he was Muslim? I mean, I don't understand why when he says without Muslims, was it a Muslim who made that, or was it a person who happened to be a Muslim? Like, let's say the Wright brothers made the plane, right? Do we say, oh, the Christian made the first plane? No, the Wright brothers made the plane. See, that is the insecurity I see with Muslim, because they don't have anything really amazing to show for. They always make it so that, oh, the Muslim made it at that time. No, it was, you don't see that right now any Christians coming up and saying, oh, the Christian made this one and the Christian made that. No, they talk about the people who made those things by their names, like, oh, Einstein did this, or Planck, or the big scientists. And a lot of them were atheists and all that. They just name their inventions based on the people who invented them. Alexander Graham Bell and Newton, and whoever it is, right? But they don't be like, no, this Muslim made this and this Christian made this. It's only with the Muslims that they are so preoccupied with showing how great they were, that they're going to say, oh, the Muslim did it. Did him making a windmill have anything to do with the Quran? With him making a engine has anything to do with the Quran? With him making a shampoo has anything to do? And the second point is, think about this way. Do you think, if coffee, like he said, coffee, Muslim made coffee, if Muslim didn't make coffee, that means nobody else would have made coffee? There's so many things that the other people made just because they made it. At that time, they were there, so they made it, right? Games, what else was there? Anesthesia, fountain pens. You think nobody else would make fountain pens if that Muslim guy wasn't there? No, people make these things. You are attaching a religion to that, as if the religion made them make these things. No, people did that based on their own intelligence, and doesn't matter if they were Muslim, Christians, or Jews. They were credited to the people. But no, you want to credit the religion instead of the individual. Quranist is here also. Let me add them. Okay, let's go for it.
Sorry for that one. Modern cryptology, three-course meals, crystal glasses, carpets, checks, gardens for beauty and meditation, universities. Yes, the first university in Al-Fez, which is still operating, was started by Muslims. Optics, and if you wear glasses, thank a Muslim. Toothbrushes, we should all thank Muslims for that one. Hospitals, bathing, yes, proper bathhouses and all of that were developed by Muslims. We'll talk about that. Quilting, the mirrors,
So basically, bathing was developed by Muslims. I mean, think about that. Before Islam, nobody used to bathe. How, what sort of statement is that? Muslim bathing. Romans had bathing bathhouses. I mean,
soft drinks, not Coke and Pepsi, but we'll talk about it. And other things, cosmetics, plastic surgery, calligraphy, manufacturing of paper.
oh, plastic surgery. Ask any Hindu who made plastic surgery. Ask Modi. He'll tell you who discovered plastic surgery. So you're not the only one claiming certain things like that.
This is all based on the research of a non-Muslim professor, right? Which tells you the important contributions. Now, What's interesting, I went to school here. I went to middle school, junior, or elementary, junior high, high school, college, university. I never heard about this stuff. I never heard about Edison. I heard about Galileo.
Yeah, because you know why? They don't focus on what the person was religious wise. They just focus on who built it. So yeah, you can Google who did the toothbrush. The guy's name will show up. You can Google who made the first chess, or you who made the first anesthesia. The guy's name will come up. They don't focus on if he was a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew. Only you guys focus on what religion he was because you want to show some thing.
I heard about all the Wright brothers. But who was the first one to actually have manned flights? We'll find out. So, did you know? It was a Muslim who realized that light enters our eyes, unlike the Greek who thought that we emitted rays. Thus, he invented the camera. The concept of the pinhole was invented by a Muslim. You can research all this on your own. But imagine today, if we didn't have Muslims as part of the fabric of humanity, we wouldn't have cameras. You
How
understand?
is that? How does that make? So if there was no Muslim, right, we would never have a camera at all. I mean, how ridiculous is that statement? Okay, at that time he developed that. Imagine if at that time that guy who developed the camera hole or the pinhole, he died for whatever reason. You think till now nobody would never ever have thought about this idea of making a camera or making something that captures images? So how does that Islam have anything to do with that?
It was called the father of optics, and he's a describer of vision theory. I gave the reference, you can look at it. It was a Muslim who first tried to fly in 852. So even though the Wright brothers have taken credit for it, but actually historically you can find way before the Wright brothers even were born, there was a Muslim
Okay, ask a Hindu. They have flying flying devices from 10,000 years ago in their books.
who actually tried and successfully flew a little bit. He didn't develop a plane, but he was the first human to be able to go fly. And this was done by Abbas ibn Firnas in 875, which is in 852 was when he attempted, 875 when it was recorded in Cordoba and Andalus, which was the Muslim Spain at the time. Did you know? It was a Muslim by the name of Jabir ibn Hayyan, who was known as the founder of modern chemistry. So if you've taken chemistry, he's the one that took alchemy into chemistry. Everything that you see here, this is stuff that a Muslim developed.
A lot of these sciences were developed by the people at that time because of very simple reason. The kings, the caliphs, the rulers of that place, they had occupied large, vast of areas, and they had so much money because they looted all these places, and they had so much money that now they could relax and spend money on other things. And they didn't have to have this pressure like, oh my God, we don't have enough money. Now they had enough money. The people had enough flexibility to spend more times on other things like pursuit of knowledge and astronomy and things like that, and that created all of these thinking and ideas and all that. It has nothing to do with the actual Islam. Islam, as a matter of fact, if you check the history at a lot of places, it actually went against the it went against the scientific discovery and actually hindered this scientific discovery.
The first person to introduce the idea of programming. Now, this is very interesting because my bachelor was in computer science. Never knew about this. The first person to come with the idea of programming was a Muslim, Ismail al-Jazari, and he is called the father of robotics. Very interesting guy. I'm not going to go over all his inventions here, but they are amazing. I mean, the first working clock, he had water pumps, he had all kinds of robotics that were unheard of back in 1200. I mean, this is way before what we're talking about robotics. And that's a problem. Why? Well, a lot.
I'm just gonna
Just because you don't
go
hear about it
forward a
doesn't mean it
little
doesn't
bit.
exist. You can look it up out of nowhere, right? I actually read his writings. His evidence wasn't because he went into space with NASA and things. It was based on the Quran. So he took a holy text, the revelation that Allah sent to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and looking at that 500 years before Galileo, he explained how the world is round, but somehow it's not in our history books. I don't know if any of you heard of this before. See? Now go home and look it up. Algebra. Again, Al-Jabr. This is named after a book by a Muslim mathematician and scholar. And those of you that are Muslim, I'm not promoting their aqaid. No.
Do you know there were a lot of knowledge that was discovered at one time and then they got lost and then they got discovered again by a different civilization, completely independent of the first civilization? Because by logic, people will try to discover the answer. And if they find the answer, great. And then if they lose the answer, some other civilization would do the same type of research, will come up to, because the fundamental laws of nature are the same. So they will eventually come to the same conclusion. So this is not amazing that he discovered it. Yeah, who maybe they had better algebra in the ancient Egypt time who built the pyramids, but now that information was lost, and then the algebra discovered it again. So and how is that anything to do with the Quran?
It's a different issue. This is about their inventions in science and math and so on. So, algebra, anything you find with algorithms developed by Muslims. Without algorithms, you wouldn't have programming. The basis of all 25. Both of next time
Okay,
you write
so he gives a
causes of
lot of
death in America is alcoholism.
okay,
World
a lot of
with
different
Islamic morals.
examples.
Muslim scholars that developed the system of numbering. The one was a single angle, the two had your numbers from. Next time you write numbers, thank a Muslim. But you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it. Why? Why can we not appreciate what was put forth by those great Muslim scholars of math and science and so on?
By those great scholars. Don't have to be by those Muslim scholars, because nobody says by those Christian scholars, by those Chinese, Buddhist scholars. No, it's just scholars. But you want to put that label Muslim scholar because somehow it, gives credibility to you.
Imagine a world without Islamic morals, right? This is what we see. But then imagine a world with Islamic morals. Now, this is something I'm going to talking about science and technology and talking about what Muslims developed in the past is a safe zone. Like it's very easy to talk about it, right? Because everybody's like, wow, the clock, that's cool. Yeah, algebra, wow, right? But I'm gonna come out of the safe zone, right? I'm gonna talk about something that Islam has contributed to humanity and continues to, and we hope in the future will more be a contributing factor to the success of humanity, which is morals. Right? One of the greatest causes of death in America is alcoholism, whether it's through drunk driving, whether it's through heart failure, liver disease, all kinds of things. According to CDC, these aren't my numbers. You can ask Fauci yourself. 95,000 people in 2020 died because of alcohol-related deaths. Americans. I mean, we're talking about COVID, but these deaths happen every year. Every year, almost 100,000 of your fellow Americans, not talking about Europe, not talking about South America, not talking about the world, not talking about just in America, die from alcoholism. But imagine if the world adopted Islamic morals, and as Muslims, we're not allowed to drink alcohol, right? Now think about that. Why not?
Now, not drinking and driving, is that a moral from Islam? No. It's a moral of a secular country in the sense, hey, don't get drunk and drive. It's just the rules. It's you don't infringe on other people's rights. So if you want to sit in your house, have a cup of wine or whatever, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It helps your digestion and everything. But don't get drunk and drive in the street. That has nothing to do with the morals coming from Islam. So there, and as a matter of fact, there's other religions that have alcohol banned in them. So how is that a unique thing for Islam? I mean,
Right? And I know we're at state, so this is going to be a hard push. Um, but think it through, right? If we all get drunk, right, is it going to harm God? No. Is it going to stop the universe? No. Heaven, hell, even if
anyway,
everyone turn a blind eye to it.
I'm gonna go forward a little bit. This is taking he just keeps going on and
The
on.
housing bubble. Like Islam has solutions. Muslims sometimes are shy to talk about them, but I'm not. And I'm going to look forward to your questions, please. I mean, we want to have this interactive discussion. When we look at
1 second, I have a super chat. So will he acknowledge Dr. Abdul Salam? No, he will, because he is not considered Muslim. So obviously he's not gonna talk about this. Is the hypocrisy, since he's not Muslim and they don't consider him Muslim. They're not gonna talk about his contribution. So for in his contribution, that's just a scholar, that's just a scientist who did the contribution. It's not Muslim. I mean, this is hypocrisy. I mean, that's a good point about Dr. Abdul Salam. He doesn't mention him at all in this whole presentation.
how the housing bubble works. You have subprime mortgages, interest rates that are given to people that, according to economics, they're not supposed to have. And then too many people buy houses on riba, which is an Islamic word for interest. And then when they're not able to pay their payments, it's foreclosures. We have a bubble. Islam forbids interest, right? Just think this through. I mean, I'm sure all of you live in San Diego, but how many of you know the house? 700,000. All right, you live in a nice neighborhood. No, okay, maybe it will happen.
So he just to short it, he talks about the housing bubble as if Islam's no interest situation will take care of that. As a matter of fact, no. Even with the Islamic financing, there's a lot of fraud and things going on, and there's a lot of loopholes in that system too. It's just like any banking system, like outside. It's just if you abuse the system, you're going to get bad results. Same thing with the housing system in America or other countries. If it's set up properly and it is follow the rules, it gives you a lot of prosperity. But if it does not follow properly and you abuse the system and you find loopholes around the system, you're going to get in trouble. So how is that different than any other system? So uh, I mean, the banking system, the way he's talking about, it doesn't work in the global market. It doesn't work that way. It only works in a small little town like Medina, where everybody was like a small, yeah, within them it's fine. But when you're talking about a global economy and you're talking about multiple different countries and multiple different cultures, you can't just assume that your system is going to work with everybody else. They have different thought process, different way of living their lives. So this whole thing, like, oh, if somehow Islamic banking or Islamic thing was all around the thing, it'll be perfectly fine. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why nobody else outside of some Islamic countries, nobody implements Islamic banking.
The bank will take my money, the bank will take my house, the bank will take my right? Per David Beasley, and this is something you can look up. He's the director for United Nations. We have 5 pillars, right?
Okay,
First, the belief,
here's a
right? We
good
shall
point.
maintain. Just 2% of Mr.
So he's saying b- just 2% of Elon Musk's wealth can solve world hunger. This is the new report that came out. He's the richest man in the world, and if 2% of his income was given out, it will solve world hunger. And he equates that to 2% of 2.5% zakat. So imagine if Elon Musk was Muslim, world hunger will be solved. Now that sounds very interesting, but how stupid is that? First of all, 2% of his wealth going to if you look at American philanthropy or big huge corporation, they give huge chunks of their assets to charity. Okay, look at Belinda Gates and Bill Gates Foundation and other put so much in charity that that 2% is not even there. And second of all, do you think if Elon Musk lived in a country with Islamic Sharia, he would be able to have what he has right now? So the fact that he has that money, and you're talking about taking 2% from him and giving to the you don't realize that a person like him would not be able to do what he did in an Islamic Sharia country. He can't, based on the laws and everything of how things are in an Islamic Sharia country. So that is why Elon Musk is not in an Islamic country. You don't find Elon Musk's or type of people there. You find sheikhs with multi-billion-dollar jets just for him themselves. Look what Elon has. Elon basically sold all of his belongings, and he was living in a rental just to make his company survive. So I mean, it's just a comparison, or so false comparison that he's making, but the people, the audience, are not picking up on that. So I'm just gonna finish it pretty
Elon
quick.
Musk's wealth was Muslim. And he paid 2.5%. Elon Musk, let alone answer questions. We are here to discuss. There is no question off the table to those that are not Muslim to be able to use this.
Okay, guys. So I think that was pretty much it. Uh, I'm not gonna share any more of that. But basically, he compared. Oh wait, we have another super chat. Saudi Arabia was has funded Pakistan on a certain interest gain. How is that not riba? Yes, that's what I just said. It is interest. They just call it something else. They don't call it interest. Just they relabel the word interest to something else, and they just charge the same way. And as a matter of fact, Islamic banking is one of the most corrupt in Pakistan. They use the benefit of religion, and they totally do corruption in their banking, but they use the disguise of being Islamic, and they do the same type of frauds, and they do the same type of mismanagement of money, and they just label it different. Just imagine, I mean, let's just not call it interest, just let's call it bintrust. We are not charging you interest, we're just going to charge you bintrust. So now it's completely halal because we are not charging you interest. That's how it works, you know. It's I mean, anyway, we can so go on and on. So let me have Morani say something. What do you think about this, Morani? Sorry, you are muted. Unmute. Okay, let me see if Quran is. Hello, Quran is.
Uh, Hello, this in you. How are you?
Hello. Good, good, good. So, what did you think about the video?
Uh, I think I have altogether a different perspective about all these things. For example, riba. I don't understand why taking money for your services is haram in Islam, and that's why I
No,
have
it's not. No,
translated
no.
it
He's talking
differently.
about interest. Riba. He's not talking about taking money for your
Riba.
services. Riba is interest
Riba is
on
actually
money. Interest on money. Like
according.
you put
Yes.
your money to work, and the money makes money for you.
Interest is totally halal. It is not haram. It is tijarat in
Right.
Islam.
Oh,
Riba is storing money,
Quran, you
making it
basically
useless.
you prove my point.
Yes.
I just said the same thing. Just call it something else, and it becomes halal.
No, no. Riba is actually making piles of money and keeping it away from others and making it useless. This is riba.
Uh,
And giving it to others for their businesses and taking interest from them, it is tijarat.
mhm. Okay. So
Simple as that.
he's talking about like if there was Islamic banking all around the world, there would be no housing problem, there will be no financial
No, no,
problems.
no. He's totally wrong. Banks will collapse at once, and it will ruin everything.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else
You
you
know,
wanted to say about the video?
uh, I, 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 you are right about this thing that Islam has nothing to do with the progression that Muslims made. It was people who invented things, and people usually invent things when they come to know some knowledge, some technique. So it is not a miracle of Islam that uh, some people born in Muslim countries and they invented this and that. This is nothing.
Mhm.
Islam has nothing to do with inventions. On this point, you are totally correct. But what I see in the video that he never claimed that Islam invited them to invent these things and that they invented. He just said Muslims invented. This is
Right.
this is correct. Here he was not wrong.
No, no, I didn't say he was wrong. I was saying he was trying to take credit of saying that the Muslims invented it
It
as if it
is
had
it is
anything to do
actually
with Islam. It had nothing to do with
yes.
Islam. It had only to
It
do with,
was actually a response to those who say that Muslims have not invented anything in last 500 years,
yeah, but that doesn't make
and
sense.
maybe they're
Muslims,
correct.
yeah, but these people were not, the invention has nothing to do with Muslims. It has to do with people who invent things.
People,
Just because
yes,
somebody is Muslim doesn't mean that it has his Islam had anything to do with his invention. If somebody is
yeah, yes,
inventing
yes.
a tool,
I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah. So
Yeah, I
then
agree with you. Islam.
why would you give credit to Islam for these
No, no,
inventions? So
he didn't give any credit to Islam. He was
yes,
just
yes,
telling
he
that
did. No, no,
People in Muslim countries invented
no, no,
this
no.
and that thing.
I'm gonna share
This,
just the screen by itself, just so you see the title of this. You know what the title is? Islam's contribution to humanity. He's not talking about
oh.
Muslims. So yeah,
Then he's wrong. Then
yeah.
he's wrong. You are right.
Mhm.
Islam has nothing to do with inventions. It is not for inventions. Islam is for making people closer to their God. Uh,
Mhm.
this is what the purpose of Islam is.
Good. Okay, good. I agree. I think I'm gonna end it over here. I think this video was interesting.
Okay.
I'm gonna be watching some more of his videos. He's a good debater. As a matter of fact, I can see his some of his videos. He's a very strong debater, and he's a very passionate debater. So
But
these are sort of people are good to debate with, good to have a conversation with, and I think this is what we have to do. We have to talk to them, they have to talk to us, and we can get to a better position so we understand each other, right? uh,
right.
why do colleges allow such discourse? No religion should be allowed to preach in. uh, no, Sailor, I don't disagree. I mean, I don't agree with you. Colleges should allow these sort of people. I mean, he's not here preaching about Islam. He's preaching about Islam's contribution to humanity. He's make a presentation. I don't agree. If he's coming here only for dawah, he sets up the thing and he's just proselytizing inside the school, and just that would not be allowed. But you should be able to allow these people to come in and give their points of view just like anybody else, as long as they are not infringing on other people's. He's not infringing on other people's, he's not forcing them, he's giving a presentation. And they probably have a lecture hall booked where you can come and listen to him if you want to know about him. So I don't disagree with what he's doing. He's doing what he want, he's allowed to do. He's in America. In America, you're allowed to give lectures and things like that, as long as you are not infringing on other people's rights. And he is not infringing on anybody's right. He's just giving a presentation. Now, people are free to come listen to the presentation or agree, just like me. I listened to the presentation. I didn't agree with some parts of it. I agreed with some parts of it. But that doesn't mean he should not be allowed to say these things. Now, being in a this is what comes in a secular society. There's a lot of things that happen in secular societies that you don't like, but since you are in a secular society, part of being in that type of society is that you have to allow other people to do things that you might not do or you might not think are right, but they are still allowed to do it, right? So propagating their religion, it's all allowed in Islam. It's all allowed in a secular society as long as you don't infringe other people's rights, you know. But we all know what happens when there's a lot more Muslims and then they have majority, then the rules change all of a sudden. But until that thing happens, they take advantage of the secular laws. Like this guy, Osman, he talks against secularism, he talks against modernism, he talks against the America so much. But guess what he does? He uses America's own freedom of speech and freedom of secular thought to propagate his religion. So it's just a double situation. Like he's using their freedoms, which according to Sharia, other religions would not be allowed to propagate their religion if it was a Sharia state. Only Islam is allowed to propagate, right? So if it was an Islamic situation, like let's say it's a true Christian country and nobody else was allowed to propagate their religion except for Christianity, he would not be able to talk. But since it's a secular country, it's a free country, he takes advantage of those freedom and propagates his religion, which teaches not to give freedom. It's just one of those catch 22s, you know. But that's how it is. And one second, I have somebody here free. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, Desini. How are you?
Good, good.
Hello. Yes, yes. So, yeah, so basically, I don't know much about Islam. I'm from India. So, you just listening to your this thing. So, but I have seen the, I don't know, yesterday's report it was, or it's in English stream of Ghalib. He showed that the due to um, the marriages in between cousins in Pakistan, the genetically disabled children uh, are very high in Pakistan. The birth rate of genetically disabled
Yeah,
children.
I think there's even a documentary on this on BBC, of because there's so many people from Pakistan and India, they have settled in London. They actually did a documentary because mm, the doctors over there realized that more people from Pakistani or Indian origin had birth defects of autism or like some mental problems, mental diseases as compared to the other communities. And then if you look at that documentary, you'll realize it's because most of those people are first cousin marriages, and that gives you a more percentage of genetic defects as compared to other places. So yes, you're right. And I think Khalib actually has pretty good presentation on it. I saw some of his earlier work on this.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. ठीक है.
So yeah.
Anything else? I'm gonna then shut it down because I think
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
we
Desini.
all
Nothing
right. So
else.
thank you, Free.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thanks.
coming.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Quranis, if you have anything else to say, otherwise we'll shut down the stream.
No, I have nothing to say. I would like to have some off the record conversation with you
Sure, sure.
to settle certain things if you give me a chance.
Sure, sure. We'll set up a talk or whatever when you come in. We'll discuss that. This is like the English stream talking about Sheikh
Okay.
Usman. So maybe next time when we do some other stream.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Quranis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Murani, are you there? You want to say something? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay. All right, guys. I think this was English stream. I just wanted to do a quick reaction video on this one and get some input. We didn't have too many people coming today because I think there's a lot of other sessions going on. That's why not many people came in. But hey, it doesn't matter as long as a video is put out. Maybe other people can watch it later on and give their input. uh, I'm coming up with a new idea. I saw Salim Nastik. He has a really cool idea. He has Fazlu. he plays a character of a Muslim, and he talks to people as a Muslim, and then he debates with them and all that. So I think that's a very interesting idea. So I'm gonna try to come up with an idea like that, and come up with a character where I can play a Muslim and people can come in and talk to me, and let's see how the conversation happens. I think that will be good. And of course, next stream is going to be Hindi, Urdu, or whatever. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.